Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former world champion Zerg in the blue, the Italian stallion. It's Reynor. Facing off against arguably the best Protoss player in the world in the red, we have Hero. In a best of 7 Protoss versus Zerg Grand Finals to the Kung Fu Cup November tournament. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me count up the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,745 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than this first probe of heroes being prosecuted for 3 capital crimes. 1, thievery of minerals. 2, trespassing on private Zerg property. And 3, obstruction of hatchery. And 4, being Protoss. We added a new one. We're not allowed to say that. The Adept shades into the main, and Reynor, well, I think Hero focused on blocking the hatchery, 1, because he can. And 2, this map does not have an easy-to-take alternative third. It has a moderately harder to take third base in the front, which is clearly more vulnerable to all sorts of attack, but not so vulnerable that it's going to keep a Reynor from taking it as quickly as possible. So now a couple of Adepts are going to be shading their way in, just constantly bothering the Zerg and keeping them on their toes and reminding him that wherever he goes, Hero will be watching. Assuming he's able to keep him alive for long enough, but the Zerglings come out, let them know that speed's done. A Void Ray is definitely one of the choices you can make in the early game. And Hero's sending it directly across the map. This is a killer Void Ray. The intent here is to show it as late as possible to kill as many Overlords as you can get a hold of. Because if he reveals it, taking out the first Overlord, then the other ones will retreat back to the safety of the Creep, the Queens. Whereas if he reveals it right now, he lights it up, and he burns through the first one like an overripe tomato, which I assume burns just as grossly. All right, I can't confirm for sure, but, you know, if you have any experience, make sure to share. Meanwhile, a second Overlord as well. Wasn't able to retreat in time. The Queens try to deny it, but it's too late. And, well, Oracle, Adepts, and Zerglings cut down. And now a couple more guesses. The other Overlord actually managed to sneak by. Well, Hero wasn't really looking for it, but either way, make it into the main and confirm there is a relatively standard follow-up to this. Despite the early... Oh, he actually spotted the Twilight and Forge. Meanwhile, gets a Creep Tumor, but get off my Creep! Brenda, not game 1. Shut up, Susan. He technically wasn't on Creep. He was above Creep. Susan. Sorry, I blanked out for a moment. The Oracles burninating right through and lasers down just one of the spores and gets a couple more drones on their meandering path throughout the base. Finds a Queen all alone. And you can't leave your Queens alone against the Protoss. Oh, takes down another one. Well, the neighborhood watch has come back around. And the Knitting Needles are able to knock another Oracle out of the sky. And now Hero's down 1 Void Ray, 1 Oracle, and 1 more ounce of my self-respect. So now there's some Adepts are here. No Glaives. It's just a bunch of Adepts. The Shady Bunch being thrown in because at this point in the game, usually they get thrown out of the composition. Going to slice through some of the Zerglings. And you can actually hit the drones from the high ground, which is part of the reason why this base is somewhat uncomfortable for the Zerg. Overlord taken down after another scout in the main. And, well, the Adepts won't complete the shade. A Hydra Den's on the way. A robotics facility for Hero, who's building Moracles at this stage. An interesting choice. He's just kind of throwing it all out. He's getting 2 more gases. The Adepts actually shade back. All right, so getting the gases at the third relatively early on. Not something you always see right off the bat, especially with the heavier gateway styles. And it's just going to be Hydras out of Reynor. Not a bad choice at all, especially against Blink and +1. Hydras and Lings, probably the most efficient unit composition you can realistically get to counter that. A Warp Prism on the way. A Templar. Yeah, sure. That's where we put our Templar Archives. That's the well-known Templar Archive spot. Right outside your third base. The first thing to be hit. Well, if you lose the Templar Archives, you deserve to lose the game. All right. And what? A Robo Bay? Hero? Hero's just checking off. He's pulling out his Prima strategy guide. And like, oh, what do we have here? All right, we got Templar Archives. We got Robo Bay. We have like and subscribe. And, well, we got all the boxes. So he's going pretty, but he's getting armor upgrades as well. So, Hero has decided that he's going to get about one with everything. And the Buddhist Protoss might be an interesting strategy and possibly in line with their philosophy, but I don't know if it's going to work out here. The not-so-charged lots stumbling their way to the front line, and there's no splash damage, which means the Hydras easily pincushion this entire army. The Immortal gets jammed in between a shield battery and a cannon. War Prism slurps it back up, drops it down in a marginally safer location. The optimistic fourth Nexus. Now, the Hydras don't even have speed done, but they don't need it when there's nothing of this range. There's a Colossus on the way. Charge is almost done. +1 armor's halfway there. An extended thermal lance has begun. Mine's not feeling so great for Hero right now, but 29 Banelings on the way, right as Baneling speed is finishing up. That also includes that +5 HP, and now with Hydra speed done. Groovy Spine's on the way for the range, but still quite a ways off. An awkward setup to say that, is that not a super pylon? Nice slow warping. All right, take your time with it, enjoy it. There's a single Colossus, a couple stasis. One lands, a second one, that one's much better. The Colossus is picked up and put down behind the very important technological wall here. The Oracle's knocked out of the sky, the base itself is under fire. The Colossi cleaning up a lot of the Zerglings, and honestly the stasis really the only thing keeping Hero alive at this point. The Oracle wanders into the Hydras again, Blake's over the top. The Banelings are about to come out of stasis, and now he needs to deal with them. Well, rolling towards the mineral line, actually gonna get some more kills. The Colossi, pretty much the only units looking to survive this entire fight. In the red, not quite dead, juggling back. The Clown Fiesta continues. The Hydras, he doesn't even have extended thermal lance, but he has just enough. The Nexus itself, 25 probes dead. Hero plummeting in supply. 24, 34, 35 kills on this Colossus. He warps in some Zealots, and they'll be able to charge forward because the Nexus is no longer in the way. How convenient. And Hero somehow lives. He has 2 Colossi with about a quarter Colossus of HP between them. He has 2 bases with about 2 bases of probes between them. He has 2 important tech buildings depowered. The Warp Prism was repowering the Robo in an incestuous feedback loop. But technically, Hero, he still has 3 Colossi. He still has an amount of Zealots. And he still has a dream. And Hero will never be accused of leaving the game too early. The Warp Prism straying close to the Hydras, but not close enough for them to knock it down quite yet. The Warp Prism micro has been on point. The everything else micro has been a little bit less decisive, but the Warp Prism is on the other side of the map, which means these Colossi are left out on their own. Few Archons, few Colossi. The Charge Lot warping. We'll see, but even with extended thermal lance, this is a tall order, even for the Colossi themselves. One's knocked down. A second one, badly bruised, still alive behind. 31 kills and counting. That's not a super pylon. The Zealots are slow warping. The Warp Prism's coming back. You can see it on the mini-map. An Immortal pops out. An Archon, shield battery, sipping at the dregs of it. And the Warp Prism is there just in time to watch the Colossus die. Those are not charge lots. Those are probes. Drafted into the fray. The battle probes juggling the Colossus forward. And honestly, some beautiful micro, but at the end of the day, quantity has a quality all its own. And he deals with the source of the problem. He knocks down the Colossus, the Immortal, and Reynor will be taking game number 1. A big win for Reynor, who's lost the last several series against Hero. And even the games he won looked like a mess, where he barely scratched out a victory. And here, Hero made a game of it. But that was Reynor's game almost from start to finish. There were a few hiccups, but for the most part, he was just able to roll him over. So I think a confidence booster going into this for Reynor, that he can just straight up beat Hero and whatever that was. I was going to say a straight up game, but Hero went for every part of the tech tree pretty much, which means he didn't really get anywhere fast. But nonetheless, the madness continues, for me at least, as we go into Winter Madness for game number 2. Hero using the Zest portrait. Come back to a Zest. He's already denied it as a relatively pragmatic person, unfortunately, but I don't know if it's his inspiration. A lot of the time, my favorites, also speaking of come back to us, Dark. My favorites were Dark versus Hero, where Dark would use the portrait of the player he ranked number 1 in StarCraft 2. Dark. And Hero would use the player Dark ranked as ranked number 1 in StarCraft 2. So, also Dark. So, they would both have a Dark portrait. I've seen Hero change it up. I don't know what prompted the change to Zest several months ago. I mean, most of these players have different accounts, and sometimes, like... what I'm highly amused by is instead of using his... So, Hero recently joined Team T1, which you might know from their League of Legends exploits. Reynor might know as a high-level League of Legends player himself. I think he plays League more than he plays SC2 on stream, but I digress. Somehow less tilting than playing Zerg on the ladder. Am I right? Yeah. Hero, the only StarCraft 2 player on Team T1. Which, you know, strong choice. They, dropped their dropped is maybe strong, but it's accurate. They stopped having their StarCraft 2 team when the team leagues in Korea kind of dried up around 2016. But for some reason, and it wasn't for the World Cup, so a lot of teams would pick up players for the Saudi sports washing money in the Esports World Cup, because if even a single player for StarCraft 2, like getting the top 8, gave your team a bunch of points towards the team competition. And inordinately so. Like, a Counter-Strike team getting 6th place is the same amount as your StarCraft player getting 6th place. So that is why a lot of teams picked up. But no, T1 picked up Hero like 2 months ago, after the World Cup. I mean, I like it. I love it. I love to see it. That's a great sign. But also, just to be clear, just no major tournament, like, welcome to the team, Hero, our only StarCraft player in the middle of what would be considered kind of the off-season. But, you know, even when it comes to, I guess, contract negotiations with teams who don't even have a StarCraft team, Hero finds a way. So, good for him. And T1, well, give Faker a run for his money. Faker's on T1, right? Pretty sure. Fun fact, for several years, former StarCraft 2 player, Holt, the Terran, one of my favorites back in the day, probably my favorite player, was actually the coach of Team T1 for League of Legends, including multiple world championships. So, yeah, there's a bit of a background there. Speaking of background, one of the adepts back-to-back with the other, holding it down. Like, looking like a buddy cop style situation here. But so far, a couple Zerglings get sliced apart. Both players looking at Hero's third base. The Zerglings will. The probe just ignoring things. Meanwhile, the third base is being nibbled by the Lings. The Adepts will actually jam into the main. Unfortunately, it's not quite the right angle. Oracle overhead. Oracle just abandons the Adept to its fate, and somehow, who knows how? I definitely know how, but the Zerglings get in. Oh no! Crazy, with such a diligent Adept at the Zerglings are working on the third Nexus, and the Oracle is in the main right now. The Nexus is going to take some damage. I don't think it's going to be enough. Now, every point of damage past the shields is irreparable damage. Alright, there are no SCVs. The Protoss just don't have the technology or the right to repair. So the Terrans have a monopoly on that as well, but the Nexus, like, hatcheries heal and can be healed, but Nexi, that's permanent damage. And the Oracle, it's gonna be close! The Oracle burning through the Lings! And Reynor judges it not enough. Hero barely defending the Nexus, but now it's quite a liability. He's got that Nexus out there with 1/10 HP, though the shields will regenerate eventually. Shady Bunch heads into the main. The Oracles, again, kind of feeling like the odd units out here. Getting chased down. This is restricted lair space! Sir? Sirs? Are they sirs? Doesn't matter. Well, I want to tailor my insults correctly. Okay, then we'll go with sirs. Sirs! No, not the Adepts. I think the Adepts are... Okay, shut up. Shut up, Lucille. Shut up. Shut up. Sorry, I blacked out for a moment. It looks like 37 Zerglings then. Though the majority probably on the other side of the map. Heroes just decided we're doing Glaive Adepts after losing all of his Adepts. He'll never expect that. To be fair, that is one of the dumber things that he could do. Which makes it... something. Well, the Nexus, the Zergling, Stutter... I feel like they could get it. But having it there to be killed at almost any point... At this stage, it might be worth... Well, you're not going to kill your own Nexus. I wouldn't put it past Hero, but you're not going to kill your own... Interesting, Michael. You're not going to kill your own Nexus and then rebuild it, right? It does have shields. The shields can cover a lot of it. But also, it's kind of just... sticking out there like a anime thumb. Well, we're doing the Glaive to Depths, so Reynor has roaches on the way. I don't know if he... Well, he saw the Adept count. The Zerglings were right there. So, yeah, and if he didn't know before, he certainly knows now. Roaches on the way. And Reynor already has a spore crawler walling off, trying to teach Reynor, or teach Hero what doors are. Hero refuses to learn. But that spore crawler with double duty here. A wall off and zoning out the Oracles, and the Adepts take full offense to that. He's just gonna slice right through it. And the Adepts get in, and will find a surprising amount of damage. The Oracle's just chilling over on the other side. Been some deplorable damage so far, but... Man, well, okay. He's starting to get some real kills here. I feel like sometimes Adept all-ins get a lot better when your opponent thinks they've defended it. Because there's this sense of complacency. Like, I have the roaches, I have the wall off. The Adepts can't do that much, can they? 8 drones dead. And Hero actually has a 12-worker lead. Meanwhile, you know what he wouldn't expect? A bunch more of Adepts. You know what else he wouldn't expect? Shading backwards in the fog of war. Yeah. Didn't see that one coming. And neither did Hero. Because of the shade, it was too dark. Meanwhile, alright, here we go. Queen drop loaded up, but Overlord speed's not done. And actually being in the Overlord means that the Queens are not providing anti-air support. And thus, the Oracles are actually getting a huge amount of damage done to the Roaches. Way more than they deserve. Another Queen going to be assassinated at the front. Overlord drop sent back home. The Oracles are burning right through the hatchery simultaneously. The Adepts are in the main. How is Hero doing this? Meanwhile, the Queen's gonna knock down 1, 2, maybe even a third, but they save the hatchery. And now both players have a base in a very uncomfortable position. The Adepts kill 18 more drones. Reynor is at 41 drones. That is critical damage, but he has 40 roaches to go with it. if Hero survives the counterattack, but... No, I did not get any larger. We used to be able to fit 4. We can still fit 4. I don't care if it's uncomfortable. It's so echoey. Meanwhile, the roaches Overlord drop, and there's only 2 oracles remaining. That Nexus is clearly a liability, but Reynor focusing on the army so he can go for the ideally just a game-winning move, because he has no economy to follow this up. That stasis in the midst of everything gets a surprising amount done, and may cut off enough units to make a game out of this one. A very similar situation to last game, where Hero just does not have nearly enough units to deal with Reynor's army, despite trying to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge his way out of things. Well, snipes off some more. But the Nexus will go down. And the army is 13 Blinkstalkers against 28 Roaches, 4 Ravagers. Most of the Queen's still alive over here. No upgrades for Reynor besides Roach speed, Zergling speed, Overlord speed. A very optimistic probe transfer out of Hero. Well, sometimes the left brain doesn't know what the right brain is doing. Sometimes neither brain knows what they're doing. But Reynor will take yet another one. Hero with a somehow an even more confusing build, but Reynor does not hurt himself in his confusion, at least not enough to prevent him from coming across the map and hitting him with the knockout blow. Because, as a great man once said, Jay, I think, if he's doing something weird, go fucking kill him. And that strategy to this day, simple enough and effective enough to get Reynor 2 games on the board, and Hero still looking at 0. All right, enough poetry. Instead, 10,000 feet. Don't be weird. One of our new maps. On the new map pool, for the first time, 9 new maps in the map pool, and we have a chance to see most of them here today. Hero sending the probe out at the beginning of the game, and Reynor has not, he's been not going... Okay, let me restart. Jimmy, edit that out. Reynor has not been going for the hatchery before Overlord. I had to make sure I got that in order because it was kind of important. Compare that to Solar, which you may have seen the series from the same tournament, I believe on the same day before this. Spoilers, Hero's in the finals. So still worth a watch, if only to get a preview. But Solar, the second best Zerg who's actively playing in tournaments, besides Reynor. Cyril has not signed up for anything for the new patch yet, so we're looking forward to it, assuming. But Solar is almost religiously going for the extractor trick into hatchery before Overlord, because he needs to get that hatchery down. I respect it. Getting the hatchery makes your life so much easier. It means you'll have... So, if you don't go for that, if you go for the Overlord and you just take the 3rd, if you play perfectly, you have more economy. Because you do have to bank up a little bit of larva. It's not as efficient to go for the extractor trick and then the Overlord. But the weakness is enforcing the hatchery at the 3rd base. Now there's this wide gap in your defense. The Queens, the Creep, the Zerg. It's a lot harder to cover both of your bases when they have units that could bounce between them in seconds, and you have units that might take a minute to amble their way down. Maybe not quite that much for the Queens, but it feels like it, doesn't it? So, well, the probe is suspicious. And it comes back in. Well, I think he wanted to block this base. But the Zerglings are there. Why are you like this? Spite. Spikes down the pylon. Yeah, what are you going to do about that? Kill it? Kills it. Yeah. You got you right where I want you. Okay, Hero. You keep telling him that. I mean, he does delay the hatch a bit, but did he? Because Reynor was going for a quick Zergling speed. Well, he normally times Zergling speed. He didn't delay it in order to get a third hatch quickly, so this doesn't really set him behind. It sets him about where he was going to be before. Overlord driven back to the pervert pillar. Trying to figure out exactly where it is. There it is. Where it has that high ground. But he knows it's up there. Hero has something resembling object permanence. So, most of the time he remembers that there could be units in places where he left them. Overlord, Zergling speed is done. Gonna dart out towards the third Oracle. Gonna point out that Overlord for the Stalker so it can do its job. And I think he has just enough time to take it down. There it goes. Oracle in the main. Oracle out of the main. That's the type of commentary they pay me the medium bucks for. Mostly ad revenue and premium revenue. Though maybe eventually smashing that hype button will do something. We're not sure what, but it's provocative. It gets the people going. Well, no more creep tumor for you. The Queen's trying to chase it down, and that's a bit of a fool's errand. But that's also editorializing a bit. My apologies. Ah, the Forticles build. Hero just gonna keep building Moracles until it works. All right, he's not even bothering with getting the tech before. It's not until he has Oracle number 4 that he starts the Twilight in the Forge. So, not even being rhetorical. Going to whip them out and see what he can get with it. And he just has a tendency to carry things a little bit further than anyone else would. Really pushing the limits of what is and isn't possible and plausible. And sometimes, many times, that backfires. And sometimes it rolls around to being amazing again as he lights up the Oracles, hunts down a Queen. Spore Crawler, not intimidated. Sacrifices one, born to die. Meanwhile, Queen's coming in from either angle. But the Triumvirate survives. One of the Oracles split off, but still two. Lances through several drones, the Pulsar beams easily, slicing them away from the mineral line. A whole bunch of Zerglings feeling like they're left out of the party here, as Zergling's not particularly great against Oracles on either side of the map. And can he attack the third? That's going to be a strong and hard no. So, and not in a fun way, but in a, there are more Adepts jammed up in there than there could be Zerglings in that same area. What? He built more? He's just, okay, he just Moracles. Okay, he's back to 4. The Zerg rocks will be taken down, especially since he actually got the creep far enough to delay them dying. But the Queens, no. Loses one, kills all 3. Hero just goes for it. The hesitation was non-existent. He decided it was acceptable. And yes, 4 Oracles beat 3. I mean, 3 Queens. I don't know how 4 Oracles beat 3 Oracles. Like a dance battle or something, but... Is that a... Mutas? Now that Spire finishes a little more quickly now, costs a little bit less. And Hero has not scouted it at all. Now, the reason you don't usually see Mutas is with Oracles, you usually have very strong scouting, and because you have a Stargate, you can just start building Phoenixes. But he hasn't scouted it. 10 Mutas are in production already. Storm has begun, but he doesn't... He went charge and not blink. Though I think he's about to scout the Mutas. Yeah, it seems likely. The Mutas pop out. Some chasing down the Oracles. Revelation. Yep, those are Mutas. Already pumping out the Phoenixes back at home. Blink begins. That he's gonna counterattack. but there's almost no anti-air whatsoever. A single Stalker, a single Sentry, and 2 very angry Archons. Muta's swinging in. There's not even a shield battery, though he warps in around to Stalkers. Single Phoenix. Micro's back. And is that a wall? He's got kind of an awkward wall off in his main. I don't think it's too relevant against the Mutas, but the counterattack looking for an opportunity and absolutely not finding it. 4 probes dead so far. Just ignoring the cannon, eating some shots from the Stalkers, but so far Reynor has been able to find a lot of progress with the Mutalisk, though he is supply blocked awkwardly, so he's not really able to build much, and he's going to lose the 4th hatchery. A recall of whatever he could fit, and a Phoenix still at the back, and 13 probes are dead, but the Mutas are... they're an annoyance, they're an inconvenience, but they have yet to be really a major stopping block here. And Reynor, in losing that hatchery, this is a larva-intensive composition. Look at Reynor's minerals and gas. He only has single-digit larva right now. He's trying to spend it, but he has more income than he can actually spend unless he's willing to continually mass mutas, which it seems like he's not interested in doing. And at this stage, you really need Corruptors to help zone out the Phoenixes, because the Phoenixes can attack while moving, and they have more range. So, unless Hero has a literal stroke, as opposed to a stroke of genius, it's almost impossible to knock the Phoenixes out of the sky after you get like 4 or 5. They just do too much damage too quickly against the Mutalisks. I like how Hero doesn't even have a dedicated hotkey for his Phoenixes. That seems on brand. How is he controlling his entire army at once without control groups? Fleet Beacon is on the way. As Hero, it seems the natural progression. Warps in. Up in the top right corner, the Zealots. Gonna jam themselves in there like the Adepts earlier. The Archon, not so jammed in, but... the Zerglings are gonna be cleaned up. Hero actually getting... So, Reynor actually ends up losing more in the grand scheme of things. And I think losing that 4th base really set him behind. You desperately need to maintain the economic advantage. That's what Mutas are supposed to do for you. But if you go for Mutas and you slow down your hive longer than they slow down their tech, that's defeated most of the purpose. In this case, Hero has 69 probes. He stopped right there. He thinks that's a nice economy. I tend to agree. He's picking up the queens and knocking them down. And Storm, well, and don't come back. He has one more. The Zealots wade through it. Hero manages to lose a Templar to the Zerglings before they can merge. As a happy Archon forevermore. The Roaches and Ravagers are praying to the Hydralisk Den. Save us! And the Hydralisk whisper, we can't really do that. We're also suffer from many of the same weaknesses. But here we are. Hero's maxed out. Reynor's maxed out. Both sides getting money in the bank. A mothership is on the way. The Phoenixes knocking out any extraneous units. Actually supply blocks Reynor, which is uncomfortable when he's at 200. Has to make another round of Overlords. Reveals the Hydras. Lurker Den's halfway there, but I fear the Mutas have slowed Reynor down more than Hero, as the investment has just been so high. That's just disrespectful. He just... flies directly. Carriers! In production, and why not? This is not really a Tempest situation. There's few situations that aren't Tempest situations nowadays, but Reynor with Hydraling Bane. But, well, Hero once again. How did he lose so... Oh yeah, he just lost like 20 Zealots on their own, that's how. Beautiful Storm. The Oracles are still alive. Backing off at the Archons. The Mothership! Does he have detection? Yeah, but it's on the wrong side of things. Will Hero target it? Yes, he knocks down the Overseer! And if you can't see it, you can't shoot it. Still kills some with Corrosive Bile. And Hero comes in with the plot device of a Mothership. Oh my. right when it looked like Hero would grasp defeat from the jaws of potential victory, the mothership swings in and cinematically covers everything. Now, an Ultraless Cavern. I think this is a case of Reynor not remembering he built a spire in the first place after his mutas were already taken down. Oh no! It's such an odd, like, uncommon tech. This actually happens quite often with pro players. He built a second spire, and he's using none of them so far. Reynor with equal supply. In this army... Wait, where's the mothership? What? Very agile for someone her size. Much like your mother. Recalls into the main! And, well, you're locked in here with me. The sentry is brought with it, I think learning from some of his misplays in the past. The same sort of unit. Are there any Ravagers left? He killed every single Ravager in that last fight. Now, a desperate counterattack from Reynor. While Hero just gutted the hive. 13 drones, and then he recalls back home. Wait, where? All the way to the main? I'm not sure. Oh, he didn't have energy at the natural. But the army, there and back again. A hero's journey. Does he have any detection? Yes. He picks up the lurker out of the ground. The charge lot swinging in, and Reynor. Wow. Hero untilted, unbound, moisturized, thriving. After 2 games of just getting almost walked over by Reynor. This. Reynor tries some mutas, and Hero does not care. Hero with the casual sky toss. In fact, Reynor effectively encouraging him to go sky toss certainly was a choice. So Hero's back on the board. And Reynor, I think, can shake that one off. That was clearly not that was so clearly not his typical strat, he forgot what strat he went for. He built a second spire, which I guarantee you was not for double upgrades. It was because he forgot he built the first one, even as there were still mutas on the field. And it might sound silly, but pros are so much of this game is being able to play it without even thinking about it. And again, Hero is the big asterisk on everything, but I can tell you, as someone who is get beat by both of these players 100 times out of 100, with probably just mouse only, I can sometimes be 5 minutes into the game, doing a reasonable build order, that is a good impression of what I wanted to do, if not exactly what I wanted to do, without even realizing. Like, I'll zone out and zone back in, which I think is, what is it, like, the flow state, whatever, sort of buzzwords they have for it. But I also do that with commentary. And I very, very much hope that when I get to those parts that I don't remember and I see timestamps that link to things I don't remember saying, or at least I don't remember well, that they aren't going to be a reason to dislike and unsubscribe. But I can never be sure until I click on them and I'm like, okay, it was at least funny to some people. Please clap. That does happen. It is kind of scary, having so many hours upon days upon weeks of commentary out there. Moving on, as quickly as possible. But my point being that if I, a significantly order of magnitude less accomplished player, go on autopilot, kind of knowing my build and strategy so easily, I guarantee you Reynor, who probably barely even thinks about the tech buildings he's putting down in the first place. It probably plays most of his games, like for the first 7 minutes. Well, I know for a fact, if you've ever seen him on LAN tournaments, he's jamming out. Clearly, apparently listening to Italian rap was the last one. So loud that he can't even hear the game sound sometimes, which has been the source of some dramatic moments, including like Nidus Worms and nukes. But he's in the zone. And after tens of thousands of games, it's hard to actually get out of it. Hero I'm no... I don't know much about rocket appliances, okay? So what I'm trying to say is I'm not qualified to understand nor speculate on Hero. But I will anyways. I truly think he intentionally does this. Now, sometimes it's just a mistake and he goes too far for himself. But it's like he actively tries not to do the things that would cause that for him. Like the things that would make every game look the same as the last, but like 0.03% better. I feel, but that backfires. But also, it's like random mutations. That's why we exist, all right? As perfect as we are, with absolutely no flaws, right? Like and subscribe for Existential Dread. Oh yeah, there's that. But it feels like Hero's trying to do that. Somewhat ironically, considering Zerg exists, but with his own play. And by trying, I mean it might be naturally ingrained. I doubt it's like a conscious philosophy. But it feels like sometimes he comes up with such genius or gets into situations which no one else would, one, be in or two, be able to get out of. That, well, that's why he's the rank 1 Protoss in the world. And I don't think it's exclusive to Protoss, it's just more conducive because of Protoss units. Yeah, I said it like that. But Dark, for Zerg, a player that could have that same sort of success. Cyril, very much not that sort of Zerg. Much more the incremental improvement style. Alright, get to the other side of that. Trying to think of a Terran player who truly embodied that. And Gumiho to an extent, but Gumiho has not been able to have that level of success, unfortunately. I would say Beyond, but that would be completely wrong. Beyond has been doing the same build order with only slight variations for 15 years. Terrans fear change, alright? Always have, always will. 8 Zerg, 8 Protoss, Love, Stim, and Medic. Medivac. Simple as. Hell yeah, brother. Looks like a 4th base delayed, but the Queens are... Oh, slip out of the way, and just in time. Slips a hatch in underneath. So far, few Zerglings, Probe, Adept. We've fallen back to the stock standard. See, I could autopilot the commentary with some random nonsense about philosophy and psychology and not really miss anything drastic here, because now... Well, we are on a new map pool, which means Reynor just had his overlords hanging out here, which is widely considered to be both rude and dangerous. So, well, gonna lose a couple. The Zergling's trying to get some revenge, but the Oracle's gonna prevent all that. Lights all 3 up, which burns a lot of extra energy. That was probably unnecessary, but... Oh, another Overlord? What is it? This is Overlord number 4? That's just irresponsible. Looks like a probe just got a kill. I think there was a Zergling in the corner over there. Don't know why. Well, Blink is done. Charge right after it. This might be the first time we actually saw Blink as the first choice. Or at least in a relatively timely fashion. It wasn't even that quick. Well, that's a bunch of Blink Stalkers, though. And there's not that much Zerg to deal with. They're gonna wrap around with the Zerglings and try to catch the Blink at the back. A Stasis. Single Zergling, gonna trigger it. There's another one at the... He just kills the hatch, though. So that works. What happened here? He had a Stasis at the wall, and he's like, that's good enough. Well, Reynor gonna try to kill some probes. Again. Hero manages to get out of this situation, only losing 2 probes, and he's actually gonna kill all the Zerglings, unless he walks all of his Stalkers out and lets the Zerglings into his base. He blinks to make sure that doesn't happen. Reynor had just ignored all this because no self-respecting Protoss would have allowed the Zerglings to do anything. But thankfully, Hero got rid of that issue a long time ago. Well, Hero managed to mitigate all of the counterattack damage. And again, he's locked in at 69 probes, 69 army supply, and a pretty nice position on the map. That fourth base, well, down goes another Oracle. But he spots the alternative fourth to the north, and out heads another band of gateway units. The stasis wards timing out now on the field, the few that went untriggered. And the stalkers, well, Reynor doesn't, he just went up to 82 drones, which means his army supply is pretty lackluster here. He doesn't have, well, he does have Storm. Wait a second. Uh-oh. That is a dangerous army. He lays down the Storms on the mineral line as well. The charge lot's coming forward, and Hero, with a cornucopia of damage here from every angle, he might be able to at least take out the hatchery. Blunks forward on top of the Hydras, why not? And the charge lots will be thinned out, but he's killed most of the Hydras. The hatchery seems like almost a freebie at the end of things. The Archon, with some free time on the drones, killing them one at a time. The drones might actually be able to kill the Archon here, amusingly. He hasn't yet killed the hatch, which is awkward to say the least. Pulls back, stasis triggers on the Zerglings. And Hero? Well, he didn't kill the hatch yet, which, despite the losses, that was kind of superficial damage. But look at the supply. Hero's getting a fleet beacon. He's getting a fourth Nexus, which he's getting gas on before it even finishes. Which, you know, making him the best gold leaguer in the business. And you're gonna want the gas, so why not get started with it? More storms, another wave is wandering up. And these storms on point, zoning out so much. That duration and the radius. Just driving everything back. He's almost spitefully ignoring that hatchery. More Archons taken out. The hatchery just taking some incidental damage. Reynor's bleeding out. He blunks forward yet again. The Archons powering through. An overwhelming amount of it. And Hero ties things up. And this time with just a straight up beat down. Reynor just kind of dies. He misjudged the timing of the Blink Stalkers every time. And it cost him. He went up to 82 drones right as the blink came in, which was far too many to deal with Hero's 3-base timing. So now we got quite a series on our hands. Reynor needs to pull it back. And together, ideally. As now Hero seems to be in the driver's seat. Quite convincingly so. So, many of the new maps have an indicator of where you can put your first pylon to do what almost every Protoss considers the most efficient wall-off of 2 gateways and a cyber core. And conveniently, Hero is pointing out where that is and leaving a space to see exactly where you would put it if you were caring about such silly things. Now, if Hero was doing the pylon in the... Is this a 12 pool? No. That's not a 12 pool, right? Yeah, it was like a 16. No. Wasn't quite a 12 pool. Well, we're gonna find out now how he wants to deal with this. This is... We saw against Solar him defend a drone rush with a Nexus first. But that was when his... Okay, this is a horrible wall. Well, the Zerglings will get in. Obviously. Wait, did Hero probe scout? Of course not. Of course. And the Zerglings are splitting the attack path. Reynor is actually delaying his attack, assuming Hero would scout. But, okay, well, the pylon. Oh, yeah, pull everyone! Sure! And, well, okay. The Hero just loses. Well, the probes are pulled. Hero. I mean, he's trying to drill his way through. He puts a pylon in a pretty nice spot to hold on to it. The probes are drilling through. He actually gets a probe surround. Well. What? The cyber core is empowered, so that's not great. But Hero just assassinated the citizen's arrest. He killed 11 Zerglings and lost 4 Well, Reynor didn't need to commit to a fight. He could have kept him busy for quite a while. So that... I think he was still expecting to get more than 4 probes. Yeah, well, this is still a disaster piece of a wall-in, but... Wow. Hero just casually strolls down with every single one of his workers and takes out several times his number in Zerglings and is now just gonna play the game like nothing happened. It's gonna be an Oracle, it's gonna be an Adept. I mean, Raynor's in the same boat over here, and I mean... If this pylon was any closer to the cyber... Well, if he had built the wall in and it's... No, you know, maybe coulda, shoulda, woulda. Okay, but... Well, that was the only chance for Hero to actually be in an okay position. So if you scout with a probe, you would have seen this coming. Alright? You might not have seen the Zerglings, but you would have seen the hatchery timing or lack thereof. But guess what? He didn't scout at all. It was the worst case scenario. He lost the pylon. He had to pull all of the probes. I mean, look at the mining time. The big mountain of income lead. All he has to do is run him around for a while. Even if he gets an adept out, whatever. But Reynor thought he could fight Hero's probes, and now he might be the one with a problem. I still think Raynor's ahead. Like, this goes from Hero losing the game outright to Hero being in an awkward spot. But that's an entirely playable position for him. In fact, that's his default position, actually. Most of the time. Oh, sure, second Stargate. Yeah, throw it out there. With 2 more gases already at the natural, somehow. Gonna try to afford that. Well, it's gonna be a fleet beacon, right? We're just gonna keep building oracles? Sure. Why not? I can't afford a fleet beat. Just go in, just walk in. No! You're locked in here with me! Or, well... Metaphorically, in a prison of your own mind, alright? The prison was in your brain all along, and now go contemplate it. Yeah. Psy prison. I think that was at least 1 or 2 of the campaign missions, right? Some sort of... Yeah, when Zeratul like, here, look at my thoughts. When I look into the brain of the Tassadar, into the Overmind, into Aemon, it's like incepting 47 different layers of, like, an onion. Okay, that's the StarCraft campaign. It has a lot of layers. Unfortunately, only 1 layer right now for Reynor. I was about to finish it. Oh, yeah, before, we thought we had moracles, but even moracles! If you say a pun louder, it's funnier. Please stop. But, no, I'm not oracles. Zergling? No. I feel like Hero wanted to go Tempest and then realized that he was too poor. So now, this. is happening. Yeah. There are 6 Hydras on the way. Surprise! He lights them all up. But this is like a limited time only situation. There's the fleet beacon. He can get the spore. The Hydras are going to pop out in awkward timing. Hydras aren't great against Oracles. But combined with this amount of Queens, I don't know if he has enough energy here. Oh, this is a disaster. Yeah. No. This tragedy of a wall off. The Overseer's gonna get in and see. No, shut it off. He's gonna see the fleet beacon finishing. And while Hero has executed a Tempest Rush against Reynor before, the circumstances were somewhat more favorable. Oh my. This game looking more one-sided than a Mobius Strip. Now, I don't think any other Protoss in the game would have made it this far. But I think if they had, they might be better off. Well, Hero has a bunch of Adepts, which are surprisingly stout. He's going to lose the 3rd outright. No cancel. Here come the Oracles. Knocks 1 down, gets a 2nd. Just kind of slithering out of the Adepts. All right, here comes some Tempests, which are actually going to be enough to clean this up. No, no, go home. Go home, Sam. Ooh, a little late. We got him. Bit of a disaster. But here comes Hero with everything he's got, which is 9 Adepts, 2 Tempests, 1 Oracle, and 0 Fox. Here we are. But 5 Corruptors on the way. Tempests infinitely annoying to deal with without direct anti-air options. And then, somewhat more tangibly annoying. Knocking out the Hydras 1 by 1. Tectonic Destabilizers optimistically on the way for Hero. He's also taking a 3rd. But without any Stalkers in support, I think the Corruptors are going to be enough. Especially since Hero will likely be losing this base. He only has 2 gates, so he can't even really warp in. Corruptors are here. And despite the spirited defense against the Zergling Rush, it looks like Hero's about to be spirited away. GG! Reynor puts himself on match point, shuts down the shenanigans, and holds it together. A very important win for the Italian Stallion, I will say. He was at risk of tilting off. The fact that he did, he's like, I've lost 2 games in a row. You know what it's time for? Zerg Rush. That's something in and of itself. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly something. So, with that, potentially the final game of the Kung Fu Cup November monthly finals. In this best of 7, Reynor up 3-2. We're going into Ruby Rock. Overlord before hatch. The probe across the map. He's still gonna block the hatch for a bit. Reynor not even bothering. Just gonna send the drone on out. What does Hero have for us? Reynor finally mixed it up. And to great success. How does he... That was like an anti-time. Sometimes, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes his genius makes him look like a savant. But sometimes it makes him look like the opposite of that. The Forrest Gumpian school of Protoss with Hero. Like against Solar, he went Nexus first with no scout and defended with probes. But Solar was baited into doing a drone rush because Hero didn't scout. Reynor did not take the bait, whether it was intentional or otherwise, and ended up just getting far ahead. And honestly, I think if Hero had gone for anything but a bunch of oracles into a random Tempest rush, it probably would have been better off. But impossible to tell now. It certainly was something, but it wasn't good enough. Drones headed down.
It's about time.
This map, I love the contrast. I would not want every map to be like this, but I love how just it's like matte colors on this one. So stark. Very clean for now. At least in the main basis. Don't even know how those minerals got there, to be honest. Let's not start thinking about the lores of mineral patches, all right? Just, it is. That's how it is. A galactic conundrum. Exactly this much on each. I think the campaign's a little more varied. Stargate it is. The only one. And an oracle. All right. We'll see if it ends there. We've seen probably more than our fair share of oracles in this series. Appears Hero just leaning right back into them. Which, with the addition of energy recharge late last year, and then somewhat of a nerf this year, it now only does 50 energy as opposed to 100, but it's on a 45-second cooldown instead of a full minute. But overall a nerf in many cases. With that change originally, with the energy recharge, players stopped going for the 3 or even 4 oracle builds, and instead would opt for 1 or 2, because you have enough energy on 1 oracle, or 2, to do the job of more before. But now, and Hero is the only player I'm seeing just keep slapping oracles into the Stargate and seeing if any victories come out. But we'll see if that strategy ends up being picked up a little bit further down the ladder, or if it remains another unique, bespoke Hero special. It's gonna be a third one, already queued up and just chilling in between the bases that he forced out. The Zerglings are back. The Oracle just watching them, lights it up. Hasn't made it through the shields yet. 10 more Zerglings on the way. The Queen's closing in. I'm trying to sneak up on them. You're not quiet, Brenda. Well, that's because of you, Susan. Sorry, I am. Twilight on the way. Don't you dare just go for glaives. Stasis may finish, but oh, wait. Yeah, Oracle will survive by the skin of its non-existent Protoss teeth. What's it gonna be? Did he forget about it? Meanwhile, Oracles. No! I mean, if anyone can make it work, and has made it work. But, wow. It's just glaives. He even built a couple stalkers. He's trying to bait the hook here. And honestly, I think a baitling nest is not actually great against Glaive Adepts. Spending a lot of gas to deal with units that also are pretty light on it. Yes, I know they're the same amount of gas, but the Glaive Adepts can very easily split against them. Still, though, it's so cliche and honestly uninspired. We've already tried Glaive Adepts, but have we had second Glaive Adepts? I guess not yet. I was hoping for like a DT drop or something, but Oracles come back around and they get one of the queens, and will manage to slip away. There's still the treacles. Not sure where that other oracle is. There's one. Oh, 1 HP. Well, that's enough, especially with the shields. Glaives is done. 16 more Zerglings on the way for Reynor. Hero actually has the supply lead. A few Banelings. The Oracles without a lot of HP between them, but if they ever catch the Zerglings out without Queen support, well, it becomes very easy to whittle down the count of Zerglings. But the Queens are already there in the... Well, that couldn't have gone much worse. Hero literally shades into the Banes. Well, that, was about as poorly as it ever could have gone. Reynor, now the Banelings aren't counted when they attack as opposed to just die, so we can guarantee you that some Banelings died there, but 17 Adepts, 2 Oracles, and 2 Stalkers for just Zerglings and Banelings. Honestly, the number doesn't even matter that much. The fact that he didn't kill any drones nor any Queens means that that was a resounding and impressive failure. Nobody fails like Hero does, because when Hero does, it's explosive and spontaneous. And now, well, we're left in a scenario that is not unique to this game in this particular series, with Hero having very few units in general, but technically still having enough economy and potentially tech to hold for a while longer, and that gives him an opportunity to potentially turn it around. There's a bunch of Hydras on the way. Double-digit Hydras in production does not bode well for a Protoss whose only splash damage is a single Archon merging at his third. The Oracle is lit up again. The Hydras... Reynor is not building any more drones. Hero's actually still building probes, which is, I think, a bit of a problem at this point. He does not need more probes. He needs more production. He needs as many units as he can put on the field as possible. After losing those Adepts, he now needs... Oh, not that. Well, the Hydra count, 19 Hydras. Baneling speed is done, though he doesn't have any Banes. Doesn't really matter. He blinks forward. The Archon gonna cover for now. Charge is only halfway there, but the Zerglings are obliging. And with the Zealots in front, an Archon at half HP, which not exactly a common sight, Hero just doesn't have enough units. There's not enough. He's gonna lock out some of them, but the Archons have to be careful not to get too close, and even then, just a few Hydras is enough to grind through the shields. Tries to save another one, blinks to the side. The tide of Zerg has been unleashed yet again. The force fields are temporary, but death is forever. Well, for most Protoss, I forget how the lore actually works, but in this case, the Immortal may not see the light of day, and the rest are seeing the light go out. The Archon is torn asunder. The Hydras are pin-cushioning probes and Stalkers alike. A few charge lots warped in, but the Hydras continue across the map. And again, Hero on the doorstep of holding, but kicked into the pit of potential defeat. He'll live a few seconds longer. The Immortal comes out. The piecemeal Hydras, but Immortal is poorly suited for dealing with this. Will try to retreat, will fail to do so. The Blink Stalker's coming forward. Hero did lose a lot of probes. He made no attempt to save them. They just kind of died in the fight. And he lives. For now. But there's nothing else Hero has going for him that is going to make it easier to survive the next wave, or the one after that, or the one with 15 Banelings involved. It has been a train wreck into a slide into disaster. The Glaved Adepts hitting the Banes, and now the Banes going to be hitting right back. Hero having this fourth base, I think Reynor is surprised by that, and the fact it has probes at it. because Hero has just continued building probes on autopilot throughout it all. The Banelings zoning out the Zealots and casually strolling into the mineral line. The probes easily evaporated. And the army is just gone. The Queens are also here because they want to participate in the group activity. But there's no air, there's no hope, there's nothing left. Reynor has done it. For the first time in several months, he's able to defeat the Smiling Assassin. And Hero, the pendulum swings back this time around. Reynor gonna take full advantage, showing he can hold it down. Ah, Hero. Hero giveth and Hero taketh away. Rough games. Some inspiring ones, some less so, but certainly giving us the variety of entertainment that we deserve. So hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully it made your day just a little bit better. Congratulations to Reynor on winning the Kung Fu Cup November. Thank you to the Kung Fu Cup for putting on these tournaments as well, putting on so many good games, and also these ones. But if you've got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership, or even smash that hype button. But one of those is free, just like liking and subscribing, so I hear for now. Thank you to our meal tier patrons, Big Jake, Davidor, Drac, Kate, Mario, Suit, for bringing in the extra minerals. Find more info in the description, and, well, make sure to check out this video. I'm sure it's great. End screen. Jimmy. But thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.